Hi, I'm Glenda with Titan Home Buyers. I'm here with Jimmy O. Jimmy O, I'm going to let him tell you about everything that he's done in the real estate investing, how he's a traditional real estate agent, but also one of the top producing investors we have at Titan. So, hey Jimmy, how you doing today?
So they call me Jimmy O because I got a long Polish last name. My name's actually Jim Olszewski, originally from Wisconsin. Did some real estate investing up there with my family. Moved down here 8 years ago. Connected with Jeff Cook Real Estate as a traditional agent. And then dove headlong into the Titan Home Buyers team. And we've been doing real estate investing for a year and a half together ever since.
Okay, so Jimmy, if there were some things that people needed to know before they launched a real estate investing company or just kind of like got into it, what would you suggest? What would be the top one or two, three things?
Yeah, so it's like anything that you can make some side money on. You know, people often pitch you a lot of different business ideas. You can make money in a lot of different ways in this life. In real estate, you certainly can do it as well. Just know that it's not easy all the time, and it comes with work. So you want to familiarize yourself with things like rents, landlord rules, property management companies. You know, if you're dabbling in real estate, you should familiarize yourself with all that stuff. Otherwise, it'll become overwhelming.
What makes a real estate investment deal attractive? Is there certain criteria that you look for?
Well, for me, I'm most intrigued by the deals that you can get into without a lot of cash out of your pocket. Because if you're looking at this from a starting from scratch standpoint, maybe you don't have a ton of cash lying around. You might say, I can't even think about investing in real estate because I don't have any money or I don't have any credit. So the most interesting deals to me are ones that you can get into without money out of your pocket. Sometimes you can even walk away from the closing table with cash at purchase. So for starters, those are the most interesting ones. As you get more serious about it, maybe you build up some revenues, then you might be buying properties with cash and flipping them. And those are fun too. They're just harder to get involved with from the start.
Oh, okay. I know Titan Home Buyers was set up for real estate solutions to change home ownership for, home buyers and sellers. Can you give us an example of when you sat across the table from a seller with your traditional real estate hat on and you've been speaking to them? How have you kind of known that, the real estate was the way to go for them?
So that's a very important question. One of the coolest things about our system, Titan Home Buyers being affiliated with Jeff Cook Real Estate, traditional real estate agents, is us agents go out on appointments occasionally and we meet with sellers that can't sell their house for, you name the reason. Sometimes they have too many repairs that are needed to be done. Sometimes they might have a house that's worth $200, but they owe $190 on it and they aren't enough money to pay the commissions. And so when you go out to these appointments with your real estate hat on, you might leave the appointment feeling disappointed because you can't list that person's house.
Yeah.
With Titan Home Buyers, that's no longer a problem. Not in every case, and we can't solve everybody's problems. But we've had deals where traditional Jeff Cook agents have sat in somebody's living room, walked them through what their house might sell for in its current situation. And when they realized they couldn't sell it, they could turn it over to a Titan agent. And we can walk them through some creative ways to get their house sold, get their problem solved. It's quite a few different ways we can go about doing that.
So let me ask you this, in the traditional sense, there's always a buyer's market or a seller's market. What's the best market for real estate investing?
Well, you're going to get differing opinions on this. I've been in real estate investing long enough to have been through the crash in 2008 and realized the downfalls that come with it. And now things are kind of booming here in Charleston. When you are a creative real estate investor, there is no perfect time. There's actually no bad time. You just need to structure deals in a way that matches what the current climate is. In a seller's market, you might be flipping houses and you might be buying them cheap, renovating them and selling them at peak market. In a slower market, you might be doing mortgage takeovers or lease options and building equity in the property over time. You just match the tools in your tool belt for whatever the market is.
Nice. That's cool. And what about when you talk to sellers? I mean, they obviously know about the traditional side, but then, when you talk to them about terms or taking over their payments, how do you get across that to them?
So that's actually it's a real fun conversation to have with people because you can be totally transparent. What I always my first conversation with folks, I try to find out their motivation. They're obviously calling us because they have to sell their house.
Sure.
And when you have a house to sell, you naturally start thinking about how many dollars are you going to get when you sell it. It's usually the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know what the seller is expecting to net out of the house, and if they're realistic, when you walk them through what they might get if they list traditionally,
Mm-hmm.
if that option is not on the table, but you can do a creative deal with terms, like you called it,
Yeah.
and get near that dollar amount that they would have got when they started the process of thinking about selling,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
their eyes open. Because ultimately, again, it's always about, I just need this house sold, and I need to walk away with X amount of dollars. If you need to do it creatively, by all means, let's do it. If you can sell it traditionally, by all means, let's do it. It's a pretty easy conversation to have with people.
Okay. That's really interesting, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people that, traditionally, if you can't help them, then what would they do?
Mm-hmm.
If they've got a problem, where would they go?
Well, and that's just it. So when they reach out to you trying to sell their house, if you can't sell it traditionally and you can't buy it from them creatively, you can leave their house and they still have this house that they need to sell for somebody. So their problem still exists. A lot of times folks will kind of chew on the information you give them for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they'll reach back out to you because they realize what you presented them, although a little bit unique in its first appearance, it starts to make sense to them, and then you can get them to open up to the more creative.
Okay, cool. Do you ever buy the investment properties with cash?
We do. That's one of the nice things about working with a team. We have the ability to pull together hard money lenders, private money from in-house. We do buy properties with cash all the time. Cash offers are always lower than more creative deals, and I tell sellers that. And then, when you get into a cash deal, you kind of want to make it move quickly, get it fixed up quickly, and sell it so you can redeploy that cash into an investment. But we do those kinds of deals all the time.
So what about the cash? You go to the banks, or you go to friends, or
well,
do you have rich friends?
So the wonderful owner of our company, Mr. Cook, personally finances some deals. And I don't know how deep his pockets are, but I know that eventually, if you buy a lot of deals, everybody's pockets aren't that deep. So we do use private money. People that want to put money into real estate but don't want to get their hands dirty. They just want the return on investment. And so we'll pay them a handsome rate of return for a short-term loan, 6 months, a year, 9 months, however long it takes to flip the property. We also allow our portfolio managers, guys like myself, or if you have some cash lying around that you want to put into a deal, you can do that. But we don't ever go to a bank. We haven't had a need to go to a bank.
Nice.
Although going to a bank is something that's possible. And if you're starting out on your own, if you're watching this video and you say, I'm going to buy my first investment property, that might be an option for you. Some people will take like a home equity loan on their house to get $50,000 or $80,000 or $100,000 that they can use on an investment. They kind of rationalize it in their mind. Well, I'm only paying 4% of the HELOC. I could make 20% return on it. That's not a bad idea. I'm not advising that you do that or anything, but
it's another way.
It is another way.
Thinking outside the box. So walk me through a scenario. So you find a property, it's in distress, you secure a private money lender, you buy it for cash. What about the repairs, the home inspection?
Okay, so when you have a relationship with a private money lender or hard money lender, sometimes they're called, or coming up with cash out of your pocket, you want to know what your all-in cost is going to be. You need to know how much cash you're going to need to buy the house, to pay the attorney fees at the first transaction, and how much you need to renovate it. Let's say you buy a property for $100,000 cash and you know it needs $30,000 to repair, but after you're done, it'll probably be worth $200,000. There are private money lenders that will fund you that whole amount, the $100,000 to buy it, and the $30,000. Now that money comes at a kind of a steep price. They're not giving it to you for bank rates.
Okay.
But when you have thought about what your profit margins are going to be, you can afford to pay a little higher interest rate to get into the deal, to make the profit and then pay it back.
So it's a win for the private investor.
It's a win private investor. Their money is secured by a mortgage on the property. I mean, if you were to stiff them, they could take the property. They don't want that. But what's cool about private money lenders is when you do deals that are successful and you pay them off, guess what they usually ask you?
They want to do it again.
When are you doing another one? That was so good. I want to go do it again. So, private money lenders are like gold. You got to treat them like gold. And if they have a higher rate of return that they're asking, by all means do it. Just factor that into what you're looking at when you're looking at your property.
Okay. So it sounds like you work with a team of people. When you do these investment deals, you spoke about, having a closing. So I'm sure, there's an attorney there, the private money lenders. What about the contractors?
Yeah, so when you are, one of your first questions, I probably should have said, one of your first questions is what should you familiarize yourself with when you want to invest in real estate? Let's go back to that because it plays into this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you think you're going to invest in real estate, you're going to want to become fairly, if not handy, at least mechanically, or not mechanically inclined, but able to have a conversation with people about house stuff.
Okay.
You need to be able to speak the language of a plumber and an electrician and a roofer, because even if you buy a house that doesn't need major renovations,
Yeah.
if you're a landlord, guess what? You're fixing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So go back to when you're doing cash deals.
Yeah.
If you're going to treat your hard money people like gold, if you find a good general contractor,
Yeah.
you need to treat them like gold too,
Okay.
because time builds the expenses on a property. You want a contractor that's efficient.
Mm-hmm.
You want a contractor that's fair. You don't always want to pick the cheapest one because cheap guys
Sure.
tend to do not so good work.
Yeah.
You also want the highest price one. But if you have a good team of general contractors,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to keep them busy. They're going to say the same thing as a hard money guy.
Okay.
When are you doing another one? Because that was a big deal.
So you have a team of people when you do cash deals. What about with the properties that you hold that you don't necessarily flip?
Yeah, so we're blessed. If you're watching this video and you're thinking about emulating Titan's model, there's some really cool things we're doing. Like we have a management company in-house.
Yeah.
And if you have a team of agents that are putting together deals and you can start holding on to a half a dozen or 20 or 50 properties, the management of the rental properties is going to become
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have an in-house property management company that allows us agents to get the deal, get it secured, get a tenant in there, and then work on what we're going to do next rather than dealing with day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
stuff that goes with being a property manager. My faucet's leaking or my rent's going to be late.
That's huge. Yeah.
You name it. An
Mm-hmm.
HOA, send a letter about a fence, or all the stuff that property managers get paid for.
And I'm guessing that frees you up time to go out and do more deals.
Right. So my favorite part personally about working with this company is in my previous investing life before I hooked up with Titan was it was wearing all those hats.
Yeah.
And I had found that I had a little bit of a skill for negotiating deals,
Mm-hmm.
but I was spending so much time
Doing all the
babysitting
other
the deals.
Sure.
It's awesome to have that, and it allows you to do what you're good at.
So do you have time to do traditional real estate and the investing side?
Yeah, all the agents with Titan are Jeff Cook agents for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So by all means, I could go out and list houses and work with buyers. I have found that my niche is better served and my time is better served focusing on investment properties.
Okay.
But I certainly have the ability and the wherewithal to exercise my real estate license.
Okay. And we have an event coming up March 21st through the 23rd, which is training for real estate agents. And I think that's important because, as you said, you still do traditional as well as the real estate investing. So let me ask you this. I know that you've been through the training before. How has that helped you when you're sat at a kitchen table across from the seller? How do you know what is best for them? If it's an investment deal, if it's a traditional deal.
So I've had conversations with agents that work in-house with us that have stumbled across a unique situation and like a listing.
Okay.
And they call me and ask my advice on it. And I've been through a few of the deals.
Sure.
And it's interesting when they see some of the creative things that can be done. I always laugh when I'm talking to them on the phone. I say, I can see that now your light bulb of real estate investing has gone off. And
yeah.
Once you think about real estate from a real estate investor standpoint, even if you're a traditional agent, pretty soon everything looks like an investment to you.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting in there, this is taking nothing away from agents. If you agents are killing it, you should continue doing it. But as an agent, you're going to want listing appointments.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have people that have situations that you cannot help them unless you know how to help them with an investment strategy.
Yeah.
We had an agent that went on an appointment. House needed about $75,000 of work. It could sell in its current state.
Mm-hmm.
The sale price in its current state was going to be like $210,000, and I think he owed like $170,000. When you pay realtors and they do home inspections, that guy was going to walk away from the closing table with like $10,000.
Yeah.
And he was a little disappointed. So that agent called me, asked me to pitch him with some creative alternatives.
Okay.
Well, that same house, if we were to renovate it for him at $75,000 renovations, we could list it well north of $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so the offer we made him was, we'll buy your house.
Yeah.
you're only expecting to get $10,000 if you sell it in the current situation. We'll renovate it. We'll sell it at that peak market value, and we'll do some sort of profit split. I'm not going to get into all the details.
Okay.
But we just made this guy's house way more valuable. We took a reasonable profit out of it and gave him more money than what he could have. Now, the listing agent that went there wasn't trained to present this, and that's not a criticism of her.
Yeah.
But if you come to this training, these are the kind of techniques you're gonna learn, so that you have these things in your tool belt when you're meeting with sellers.
And I can see how the seller would understand that, because if it was traditional, they would be waiting to get that 10. What you're saying is you came up with a solution and you were able to follow through. How quickly?
Well, typically we can close as soon as the title company can be ready.
Wow.
And so, we tell people, if it's a real rush, 7 to 10 days, 14 to 17 days, we can be at a close.
So that seller had the option of waiting for the 10,000, even though his house needed repairs, and it would be on the market against houses that were maybe in better repair.
Right.
Or close with you in 7 to 10 days and get a share of the
Yeah,
profit.
what he actually said is, holy cow, that's kind of too fast. I got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can move that fast. And I said, well, we can do
That's
this
very
on your
cool.
time frame. But some people reach out and they really do need. There might be a relocation. There might be behind in payment situation. There are people that need to close like tomorrow.
So do you look for profits that have a specific rate of return? Is there something that you're looking for as an investor?
Yeah, we in-house, we like our deals to have typically between $20,000 and $30,000 profit in them. That might sound like a lot of money, but when you are starting to invest in real estate and you map out what your game plan is, and you only build in like a $15,000 or $20,000 profit, if there's any surprise in there, you could do a deal that either breaks even or lose money. So we start out shooting for a goal of like $30,000. And a lot of times when all the dust settles, we'll make $22,000 or $23,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but we always have a full disclosure with our folks.
Okay.
They enter in with their eyes wide open.
Okay.
Generally speaking, what they agreed to
Yeah.
actually got them in a better spot than they could have done elsewhere.
Wow. And I guess sometimes it's just maybe not about the money with the sellers. Maybe it's just they're in a situation that they can't get out
Yeah,
of.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you could speak to one of the deal that you did.
For sure.
Basically, like that. For sometimes it definitely is. I had a conversation with a lady who is in a model home. It's beautiful, but it might have been a little more expensive than she wanted.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about doing a mortgage takeover with her. And she's, where do I sign? I'll just do it. So to her, it's not about money. If she listed traditional, she could probably make a couple of bucks. But I know you have a deal early on.
I did. I had a deal early on where it wasn't about the money. It was just about the person needed to leave. They needed to look after their dad. They needed something done quickly because their father was very sick and they just wanted to move in and they couldn't afford 2 houses. And it was like, please do something right now. And in that way, we were able to use private money lenders, turn the situation around, and she was moved within 10 days.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot. Everybody has a reason, right? There's a motivation behind everybody selling.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about when I started about talk to the people about what the motivation is. And if you can meet their motivation, they'll sell to you.
Yeah.
They'll sell to you on creative terms. They'll sell to you in lots of different ways. But it has to be win-win. It has to meet their goal, and it has to have some profit margin in it. And if those two things happen, you're going to have a sweet deal.
I like how you say that it's a win-win situation, because I know a lot of people, they hear the word real estate investing and they're like, oh, I don't know if I can talk to somebody about that. But when you say the win-win situation, you're saying a win-win for the private money lenders, for the sellers. What about buyers? Do you have buyers on the real estate side?
So, Jeff Cook agents, they're helping buyers traditionally all the time.
Yeah.
We do. Titan does help buyers in a creative way. Now, typically we're dealing with sellers. We're buying people's houses, flipping them, and so on and so forth. The primary way we help buyers is with our rent-to-own programs. So when we buy with cash, we always flip and sell quickly. But the properties we take over with mortgage takeovers, which we learn about at the conference, or lease options, we now own this house that we do not have to immediately sell. In fact, we might not be able to sell it immediately and make a profit.
Okay.
We can offer it to a rent-to-own buyer that maybe has the income to buy a house, but maybe not the credit. So we put a person in there on a rent-to-own situation. We help them get their credit situation squared away. we lock in an option price for them that might be a little bit lower than what it would be worth in the future. And then whenever they buy, or actually exercise their option, buy the house, they might have built up some equity, and we might have made a little bit of a profit on the deal. Again, it's a win-win.
So they put some money down. You said you talk about the option fee. That's not the earnest money. That's just something to lock in.
So rent to own, a lot of people call it, or a lease option.
Okay.
You'll enter into a 2, 3, 4 year lease with these folks. They'll put a little money down to lock in a purchase price.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the house would list traditionally for 180. You might have a rent to own price of like 185, a little higher than the market rate. Maybe they put $3,000 or $4,000 down. That locks in that option, meaning the price they paid for that price will not go up.
Lock in the price.
And then they just rent like a normal renter for that 2 or 3 years, work on their credit, maybe save a little money, do whatever, maybe improve the house. And then by the time their option or their lease is up, they're probably able to buy with a traditional loan. And now the house might be worth more than the price they locked in. So you can really help people out because you've allowed them to keep some of that equity. All the while, you build a profit for yourself on the front end. So,
and also, it's almost like it's a homeowner in training, and you are the buyer's agent 2 or 3 years down the road as well.
That's correct.
That's excellent.
And this is probably a little bit deeper, this conversation, but you'll learn a lot about these deals when you come to that conference. These are very fun from a listing agent standpoint, because you can look at a property that has no hopes of selling at all traditionally, and you can turn it into $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 profit, and it's all because you bought property and you've let the rental person pay down the existing mortgage, all the while bidding up the price. And when they finally buy 2 or 3 years from now, what looked like it had no meat on the bone, so to speak, is not quite profitable.
That's really cool.
And you might have had a rent spread in there that whole time. Maybe the mortgage that you're paying is like $1,000, and maybe they're paying $1,400 in rent. You got to pay the monthly property manager a little bit of that, but you might have the monthly profits going forward.
Wow. So tell me, Jimmy, why would real estate agents? What would be one of the reasons why you looked as an agent and you looked at doing investment? Was it retirement? What was the reason why you're doing something extra? Because I know real estate agents hustle. They hustle. They're going out, finding deals, closing them, finding other deals. What do you use the real estate investing for?
Well, I wasn't here when Titan was created, but I think the goal of Titan was twofold. Naturally, it's profit motivated. Titan wants to find deals that make money. But it seems as though Jeff's other goal with this company was to give agents the opportunity. As real estate agents, you don't have retirement.
Sure.
Whatever you do is out of your own pocket. You might make a good amount of money, but if you're not setting it aside, you got to keep hustling until the day you die. This allows us agents to start doing real estate investing and having these things that are almost like savings. Like if you have these lease option deals, you might have one off to the side that's going to kind of pop in 3 years. You got one that goes Friday, lease option, and that can be a retirement for you. So that's very appealing to me.
So what's your responsibility in these deals? You come, you get a deal, you bring it back. How does that work for you?
So the way our company is set up, I'm what's known as a portfolio manager. So the properties that are in my portfolio, I have to get all the way to the finish line from the negotiating to the sales.
Okay.
Some of the in-house stuff, the ladies at the Titan office handle, just getting paperwork prepared, et cetera, and keeping me on task. There's ways to structure the ownership interest in it differently. Yeah. And it depends on the person's aptitude for wanting to be as a hands-on investor or letting the management company do it. Okay. But you oversee it. I mean, when you're doing these deals, it's your deal. I mean, you're going to make a good bit of the profit. You're going to be hands-on, looking at it, overseeing contractors and things like that.
Okay. And how would you say, just one last question before we finish up, how would you say real estate investing has changed you and your family's life?
Gosh, speaking of family, I have 9 children. Keep me busy.
No excuses for anybody that has less than 9 children.
Yeah, they keep eating. How would I say it changed my life? Gosh, it speaks to the heart. I mean, I love this company. I've always loved being in real estate. One of the things I like most since I came to Titan is they're all win-win. Yeah. I sleep well at night knowing that I helped the seller and I helped myself. It feels really good to do those deals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the money's pretty good too, so I'm not going to lie about that.
And I think having Jeff overseeing the company, you know, people get into real estate and they think that it's risky, but if you have a system, you know, and training so that, you know, you have a property management company, you have a system, you have contractors that are trustworthy, you have a title company that knows all the legality aspects of it. I think the system and the training combined with the skills of you and other agents, that's a winning formula.
Working with Jeff's a visionary. I mean, he's built a very successful company, and Titan is a sister company. It's taken off quite a bit too. But I'd be happy to hitch my wagon to a leader like him.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.